Peace, family, and welcome to my new series, LIVERVERSE. I am your host, Dr. Shakira Moore, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how and why the liver is positioned literally as the earth of your internal universe. Today's episode topic title is The Liver is Your Geometric Core of the Human Body. We're going to be talking about the benefits of liver flushing, how the liver is correlated to every dis-ease that we face in our society, and why we name diseases based upon the symptoms that we are feeling from a blocked bile duct when it comes to the liver and the gallbladder. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, if you're new here, and you have no idea who I am, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Shakira. Most call me Shakira or Dr. Shakira Fatima, whatever it is that works for you. And what I am or what I bring to the world is called iridology. And check out my picture in the back, all of the eyes that you see. And iridology is the science of looking into your iris, which is the colored part of your eye, and being able to tell specific weaknesses of tissue in each part of the body. That means your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, breast health in women, prostate health in men can all tell a story well before you get a chronic disease. And yes, I did say well before you get or manifest a chronic disease. And so years and years, I have been studying iridology for the past 8 years now. And last year, or almost 2 years ago now, I was sifting through information and research papers and even looking at countless irises. And before we go any further, may I just add that I've seen over 500 irises since I've been in the science of iridology. Impressive, right? So going back to how the liververse all started. I was sifting through research. I'm looking at my clients' irises, and I'm noticing a correlation. I'm noticing similarities. Not only am I seeing a challenge within the uterine zone of a female, or the respiratory area, or the prostate area of a male, but every iris, and I do mean this, family, every iris that I have come across has had some kind of activity, poor tissue activity in the liver, and also poor tissue activity in the colon. If you guys are familiar with iridology, or if you are an iridologist yourself and you've read Dr. Bernard's work, where he is known as the father of American iridology, he says specifically in his book that there is not an iris he has not come across that hasn't shown an issue in the colon area. And I have to add to that, Dr. Bernard, I have to add that yes, he is absolutely right. There is not an iris that I have come across that has a colon issue, but there also has not been an iris that I have not come across that hasn't been a liver issue. The science of iridology is constantly evolving, and as it should, because as we go into further into decades, right? Right now we're in the 2020 decade. We're seeing quote unquote new diseases. People are having challenges that even doctors from the 70s, from the 60s, from the 80s have never encountered. I remember, if anyone is watching this video, and if you recall that era between the 70s and the 80s, specifically going into that around that time, fibroids wasn't a thing. It wasn't something that was common. And into the 80s, it became maybe 1 in 4 women, 1 in 3, 1 in 5. It's began to grow and explode. By the time the 90s hit, y'all, most women, specifically melanated women, were having full or partial hysterectomies. So the question to you is, do you think that as we go further along into decades and the centuries, that our health is improving, or are we seeing a dramatic decline? That is for you to decide. Now, without further ado, let's get into my first episode, Liververse. The liver is your geometric core of the human body. So you've already heard my why. You've already had an understanding of iridology. And now let's finish up the why, because I don't think I finished up before why I decided to start this series. So let's backtrack end of 2023. So I'm going to spend time dissecting and really researching the liver. And what I come to find, family, is that most diseases, if not all, the reason why I have to say most, because you have to leave a window open for error, and fact check me if you want. But most, if not all, diseases are all linked to block bowel ducts stemming from the liver, the gallbladder, the duodenum, and also the pancreas. And it wreaks havoc on the entire body, from brain tumors to fibroids to tumors in the prostate, and any kind of tumor growth where it has the potential to become a cancerous mutation. And so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into why this is happening, a little bit of the anatomy of the liver, the importance of liver flushing, and so much more. All right. So if you look at the liver, the positioning of the liver, it's literally in the entire upper right quadrant, which almost takes up the upper left quadrant of your stomach area. So you can literally see why I said that the liver is the geometric core of the body. It is literally your earth. If you stand up and you look at your body, you can pull up the anatomical location, and you can see that the liver takes up, it's the largest organ in the human body, and it literally takes up that entire upper right and some of the left quadrant. And why is that? Every nerve, every vessel, every cell is literally, family, I'm going to repeat this, every cell / tissue, vessel, nerve ending is all dependent upon the functioning of your liver. And so I call it the earth of the human body, right? The liver is your earth, and your other organs are places on earth. So we're on earth, right? And anyone has heard of the term Schumann's resonance. Now, the Schumann resonance is referred to as Earth's heartbeat. So let's refer to the liver as earth, right? And the liver has its own heartbeat. It has its own beat of the drum. Now, when the liver is functioning, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's healthy, it's vibrant, it's strong. All of the other organs are going to be in that same rhythm. It's going to be healthy. It's going to be strong. You're not going to suffer from what is called disease. You're going to have energy. The body's going to work at optimum level. But what happens when the liver becomes fatty? What happens when the liver becomes congested? Well, every cell in your body feels that. Not down to just looking at the tissues of the human body, but down to the DNA, down to the ribosomes, the nucleus, the mitochondria. All of that takes a hit. And this is the foundation of gene mutation. I'm going to say that again. When the liver is blocked and it's fatty, this is the foundation of gene mutation, as the cells are now bathing in waste instead of nutrients. Okay, you have something called extracellular fluid, which the cells needs to constantly bathe in that fluid. But what happens when it's depleted? What happens when the blood is circulating toxins? It's shooting all the toxins back into the bloodstream. This is what we're seeing today. All of the disease names that has ever been created by mankind is nothing more than describing the symptoms, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of symptoms of a blocked or blocked bile ducts. I hope you're catching that, family, because I'm really throwing some jewels at you so that you're not duped into these diagnoses that you're getting from your medical doctors in their haste to trying to find out what's wrong with you. And then when they find out the diagnosis or put a name to it, now it's time to rush in the drug that you need. And of course, my job is to educate you so that you're not dependent on prescription drugs or even herbs outside of you. That's the key, family. So we talked about the placement. Let's get into a little bit of the anatomy. So the liver, again, is located in the upper, takes up the whole upper right quadrant and in some of the left, and also in the midsection of your core, in the upper areas of your core area, right? Again, geometry, earth, okay? And so the liver, you have these liver lobules, you have thousands of them. Think of them as your little soldiers. And within each liver lobule, you have something called hepatic cells. And these cells are literally determining your determining factors of whether or not your liver enzymes may be high, may be low, or just abnormal when you have your lab test. These are lab markers that you get. So I want you to pay attention to that. Now, that's going to be another episode helping you to decode your lab markers and also what labs you need to request when you have a liver problem, okay? So that's what you have there. You have your liver lobules, and then you have your hepatic cells. You also have what is called the bile duct. Now, let's be very, very quick about this, because I don't want to bore you when it comes to anatomy, but family, I want you to understand who you are. All right. Know thyself, heal thyself is the name of the game. All right. Say it with me again. Know thyself, heal thyself is the name of the game. Okay. So you have your liver. Your liver produces what is called bile. Now, bile, B-I-L-E, it's like a greenish yellow alkaline fluid. I believe it has an alkaline level of 9.4 or 9.9, right? I know it's over 9. And so this bile fluid, it's supposed to go from the liver and through that bile duct, one of the main bile ducts, it goes into the gallbladder where it's stored. From being stored into the gallbladder, then it goes into the duodenum, which is the opening of your small intestine. From there, the bile takes flight and goes into the small intestine and into the rest of the intestines so that you can have digestion, you can have vitamin synthesis, such as vitamins A, B12, vitamin D, your vitamin E, all of these vitamins that we need on a daily basis to keep our body in optimal level, right? And so this bile consists of water, it consists of electrolytes and all of those vitamins that I've already talked about before. And so now you're starting to see how important bile actually is. Not only is bile important for these other syntheses, such as vitamin D, cholesterol, electrolyte balance, but it's also important for digestion, okay? Those of you with acid reflux, those of you who feel that burning sensation after you eat certain foods, you know why that is? All of the food that you're eating, it comes from the esophagus down into the opening of the stomach, which is called the cardia of the stomach area, or the heart of the stomach, and it goes into the small intestine, right? And so you have gastric acid already into the stomach. And then you also need bile. And acid alkaline creates a balance so that you can break down your foods and break down fats as well, right? So the bile also helps to break down fats. But when there is little to no bile flowing in the system, we have a major problem. You're not going to only have digestive issues, but all of your bowel diseases, Crohn's, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, all of those, IBS, comes from blocked bile ducts and little to no bile in the system. Okay, that is very, very important to note. And so now you have it. You have your liver. The liver stores the bile. The liver produces the bile, which has the cholesterol contents, the electrolytes, and it sends it into the gallbladder, which then takes flight into the duodenum. And this is what you call the biliary tree, okay? And so all of that works synergistically so that the body can remain functioning. And let me just say this, the body knows what to do. Every cell in your body knows its job, knows what it's supposed to do. And when you have what is called a disease, it's not that the body's against you or the body's attacking you or people say F cancer and F this and F that. It's more so that the body is forced into an environment where it has to work super hard. After years and years of working super hard, well, it begins to shut down. It's like working at a factory, right? Who's worked at a factory before? I know I have. And so let's say you're working at a factory and you have a line belt. One person has a job at the end of the belt, then you have the person at the job at the middle, person at the end. You have the boxes. You're supposed to put the labels on the boxes. The person in the middle puts the content in the box, and the other person packages it up and sends it off for shipping. And then they send it through the other belt so that it can go into the slot for the person to get it, or the distributor to get it. But what happens when the machine goes haywire? What happens when that person did not do their job correctly? Well, everything gets backed up, and that's what we're looking at here. That's what's happening in your body, okay? And so I want you to be super, super clear on the liver's functions. And did I mention that the liver has not only just looking at the bile, but it has over 500 functions, family. No other organ in the body has that many functions except for the liver, okay? So I'm going to give you another example of liver challenges or liver disease. Let's go all the way back to newborn stage. How many of you have had a challenge with your newborn baby having jaundice? I hear this so many times, family, that children born a few hours later, they have what is called jaundice. Now, jaundice is the yellowing of the skin based upon the overproduction of bilirubin, and it has now seeped into the bloodstream. Let's go into that, right? Because if you've had this challenge with your baby, they never told you why, right? They never said, well, this is what's happening. And they gave you like the blanket or the superficial, oh, the liver is, the bilirubin is too high, so we're going to put the baby under the bilirubin light. But you didn't really quite necessarily know the root. Let me break it down for you. Now, if your baby had jaundice, your baby had the vitamin K shot too. They tell us that we need the vitamin K shot because vitamin K helps with clotting of the blood, which is the responsibility of the liver, by the way. Now, doctors will tell us that automatically at birth, babies are born with super, super low vitamin K, and that they need this vitamin K shot so that they can get the vitamin K that they need. I'm not going to tell you that. What they don't tell you is that vitamin K is low on purpose at birth because the baby's organs are not fully developed. His or her little liver is not fully developed. The pancreas is not fully developed. The digestive system is not fully developed. So God, source, universal source, has intended for the baby to have low vitamin K at birth, and that the baby is going to eventually get its vitamin K over time as his organs develop. Also, the vitamin K will come from the mother's milk. Now, women, if you breastfed, you remember those first few days of life. Remember when that milk was golden, right? Remember when that milk, we call it golden milk. It looks almost what? Yellow. That is coming directly from your liver. And it's actually giving the baby the vitamin K that it needs and other essential vitamins and minerals so that they can develop their liver, their gallbladder, their pancreas, their digestive system on their own. So please know that low vitamin K at birth just makes sense, right? So jaundice comes into play when we artificially inject vitamin K, which is over 30,000 times the vitamin K that the body can handle. And when you give the body more, so much vitamins at one time, the body can't process it. I know you think that more is good, but less is best. And so when you give the baby so much vitamin K at one time, his organs are not fully developed. And what happens? The body goes into overload. His little liver is trying to understand what's happening. So the liver does produce bilirubin, which is a waste product of the liver, right? So it happens when it comes from old broken down red blood cells. And so because you got this jab coming into the body, you have all of these old the body is producing all of this old waste so soon. It has nowhere to go because the liver is on overload. So where does it go? It can't go out through the bowels because the baby didn't have his first bowel movement yet. So where does it go? It goes in the bloodstream. And that excess waste product of bilirubin going directly into the bloodstream produces that yellowish hue in the baby's face. And then that's when the baby has to go under the bilirubin light. Boom, we just solved the problem. And so if you're watching this video and you may be pregnant right now, or someone you know may be pregnant right now, even if they don't watch the whole video, mark this part and let them know, listen, this is why children are having or newborn babies are having jaundice. The liver cannot take the vitamin K shot. And did I also mention that the vitamin K shot has a black box warning? A black box warning is coming straight from the FDA, which states that this is the most, it has a skull and bones across the box, where it says that it can potentially cause death. I hope that woke you up. All right, so we just explained jaundice, right? And so I can go on and on and on explaining so many different diseases, but that's going to be in future episodes. But I just want to make it very, very simple, right? Blocked bile ducts equals the entire body is under siege. And the next thing we're going to talk about is gallstones, right? And today I said something and it might have ruffled a little feathers, but I have to do that so I can wake you up, right? I said you're walking around with gallstones and you don't even know it. And most people, really all of the people that have done my liver flush has passed gallstones and had no idea that they were there. Family, it is amazing to see all of the stories, all of the reviews, all of the pictures that you guys have sent me of the gallstones that you are passing and you didn't even know it was there. And so when I hear someone say they were diagnosed with fibroids, or they were diagnosed with PCOS, or they were diagnosed with a brain tumor, or they were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, or whatever it is that it may be, I can almost guarantee that your liver enzyme markers on your lab tests or abnormal. And when we see that, we know that there is liver damage, specifically the ALT, that deals with the liver damage. And the AST deals with the poor enzymes or enzyme portal, or so I'm trying to think of the word, but the enzymes of the liver are just the digestion, the path, the bile duct blockage is just out of control. Okay. So I can almost guarantee that every dis-ease that a person has been faced with has had some kind of elevated liver enzyme markers on their blood tests. Okay. So let's talk about gallstones. Gallstones are a composite of cholesterol. It's a composite of old waste that could not come out of the body, right? And so what happens, how they form, is when the liver is super congested, when it's nowhere for this excess fat to go. Now it stays in the body, right? So I'm going to paint a picture here. You have your liver, right? And you have, let's look at the specific vein called the portal vein. Now, the portal vein is connected directly from the intestines and goes directly into the liver. The portal vein takes in all of the nutrients from the intestines and sends it back into the liver. But what happens when that portal vein is not sending just nutrients, but it's also sending all the waste, all the acids, right? So it starts to send that because remember, your body is on overload, right? So it sends through the portal vein from the intestines, sends it to the liver, and you have an explosion. The liver's like, oh my gosh, I know I have this big job, but I'm tired. I cannot do all of this at once. And even counting the fact that your liver and your gallbladder regenerates itself between the hours of 11 and 3 a.m., it's still too much. And so what happens is that excess LDL, which is called lipodensity protein, or that's the word if that's the word I'm looking for. We're going to just stick to LDL because sometimes I butcher that phrase. But the LDL, they call it the bad fats, right? Bad cholesterol when you have cholesterol. But we're not going to get into that. That's going to be another episode, right? So you have all of this stuff going in, boom, into the liver, right? And so now that excess LDL has nowhere to go. It's usually excreted out through the bowel movements, but now because it has nowhere to go, it's going to go into your bloodstream. It's going to go into your arteries. It's going to go into your vessels, right? And now it's going to wreak havoc on all of the cells in your body. And that's trillions and trillions of information. Every cell carries information. And so not only are we seeing this effect, you're seeing atherosclerosis, which is fatty deposits on the arteries near the heart, right? Which causes heart palpitations and possibly heart attacks, right? We're seeing fat on the arterial walls. We're seeing fats in the colon area. We're seeing fats all around the body. The immune system is now, or the immune defense system is now attacking itself. Autoimmune disease, right? And we never come back into how important the liver, keeping a clean liver is so important. And so family, what I am all summing up for you to understand is that blocked bile ducts due to gallstones inhibits the function of the liver and all of the synthesis that it's responsible for. Over time, dis-ease will develop in multiple organs, and what we call disease, such as the fibroids, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, thyroid issues, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, and thyroid cancer, is nothing more than severe blocked bile ducts due to excess fat and the inability for the liver to move the waste out of the body. That's it. Life is really super simple. Healing is so simple, but yet because in medical society, we have taught to fragment things. By the time a person is in their 50s and 60s, and even earlier than that, if you have severe health issues, you may have 5, 6 doctors for every specific part of the body. You have a neurologist, you have a gastroenterologist, you have a hematologist, you have a urologist, you have a nephrologist, you have a gynecologist, you have all of these ologies and oncologists, right? Which they have their specific studies in. And the gastroenterologist is not going to come and talk to the hematologist, or the hematologist is not going to talk to the gynecologist. Your neurologist and your nephrologist, they're not all going to come together in one big room and say, hey, let's look at these reports. We have the same client. Her name is Jessica. I diagnosed her with a brain tumor, but I'm seeing it's more than that. It's not localized to just the brain. We have to look at these liver markers as well. We have to look at mitochondrial markers as well. We're going to get into that on the next on another episode. We have to paint a whole picture. And not only does Jessica suffer with this brain tumor, but she has dealt with PCOS in her 20s. She is now in her late 30s, going into her 40s. She has dealt with other issues of the breast and all of these different things, but she was tumor and cystic prone. And so we need to sit at this round table and give Jessica a clear understanding of healing to bring it into the whole. But instead of doing that, they fragment it. One is over here and one is over here. And so you'll spend your entire life chasing your own tail because you're being torn apart. They tear you apart. Brain doctor here, colon doctor here, reproductive doctor here, when you are a whole person. You see the eye? You see the brain at the top? You see the lungs? You see the pupil area, which is the stomach area? We put the whole together. Iridology, we bring the entire picture together. So we may see markings in the brain. We may see markings in the liver, and we may see markings in the prostate and the uterus. But is it only localized there? Absolutely not. So that's why it's so important to know your anatomical structure so that we can bring the entire picture together. And that's what I do for you. Okay, so I really trust that I have broke it down and helped you to decode the real challenge and root cause of virtually every disease that we face in humankind. A blocked liver, blocked bile ducts, gallstones, which blocks the bile ducts, and then now nothing can move in the body. And then that's also the reasons for cell mutation or tumor genesis, or the beginning of a tumor. All right, so family, I said a lot, right? The liver is the geometric core of the human body. It is literally your earth, and the other organs are states or places on that body, on earth. And when the Schumann's resonance of the liver is disrupted, well, everything in the body is going to be disrupted as well. So I trust that you understand how important it is to keep a clean liver. Now, how do we keep a clean liver? Let's go into that. Keeping a clean liver, there is a method called the liver flush. Now, I cannot take credit from that, okay? I learned about liver flushing from the great Andreas Moritz. He was also an iridologist, and he's also a health practitioner. Amazing man. He had transitioned in 2012, and he wrote the book, The Amazing Liver Gallbladder Flush, I believe back in the early 2000s. And reading this book opened my world up totally. He helped thousands and thousands of people with liver flushing. Something so simple that you can do at home, that you can help heal your entire body in a matter of 6 days. And so the ancient liver flush method started, oh my goodness, I would say in ancient Cometian times, where we used to practice this method of using olive oil and flushing out the system that way. Now we have come into more modern times where we have developed more systems into what is called the liver flush. Well, let me break down my system to you so that you're familiar with it and that you too can do the liver flush. So the liver flush consists of a 6-day process. For 6 days, the main requirement is drinking tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is high in what is called malic acid, which helps to soften up any stones that may be present in the gallbladder. This is a requirement to drink 1 cup of organic, not from concentrate, tart cherry juice for 6 days. You're also required to drink 1 cup of my infamous liver chi blend, which consists of amazing herbs to strengthen your liver. Okay, so that's the main requirement for 6 days. You're also supposed to eat very light, no fried foods, and no cooked oils. So mainly steamed foods and of course, raw foods as much as possible. Then on the 6th day, which usually falls on a Saturday, it is best to start on a Monday because most people work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So on a Saturday, we call it the actual flush, right? And during the actual flush, by 6 p.m., you're wrapping up your last cup of tart cherry and you are drinking what is called magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate helps to contract or help the gallbladder open up to 1/3 of its size so that it can get ready for ejection of gallstones. And so it has a chalky-like flavor, but trust me, you're gonna need that. It's one of the core parts of the liver flush. So you're drinking the magnesium citrate. We give specific times on when to do that in my Ultimate Liver Flush workbook. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whatever time period you're on, it has to be 9 p.m. You're drinking grapefruit juice and olive oil. And that mixture is the last part of the flush. You've made it that far, and now the next day, you're going to see a huge explosion of a bowel movement. You may see stones on your first flush, and you may not. If you see stones on your first flush, and it is a lot of stones, then that means that you want to continue to do more liver flushes, okay? Especially looking at the color of the stones, which we're going to get into decoding the colors and what they mean. That's also very important, okay? If you don't see stones on your first flush, don't get discouraged. That just means that it may take a little longer to penetrate the liver, penetrate the gallbladder, so that you can eject stones as well. I didn't see liver stones or gallstones until my 6th flush, family. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'm healthy," you know. And even if you have stones, that doesn't mean you're not healthy, right? But I said to myself, I'm healthy. I don't have any stones. And so by my 6th flush in September of 2024, I was shocked. The stones looked like little emerald crystals. I had one large stone. It was huge. And I said, wow. And I remember specifically a month prior, I was eating a lot of fried vegan foods. And I said, yeah, I'm getting all of that out. And so family, whatever health practice you follow, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, a carnivore, whatever it is, you may be holding on to stones, okay? Vegans, please come down off your high horse. If you eat a lot of fried vegan food, come on, where my fried oyster mushroom people at? right? Where are my people that go to vegan restaurants and you're constantly eating fried, oily, cooked foods? You too can carry gallstones as well. So the liver flush is for everyone. It's not just for people who eat meat. It can be and is for everyone. You also must be 16 years or older to do the liver flush, as it literally is your very own holistic liver and gallbladder surgery. All right. So after that, you're done. A lot of people have reported after the liver flush that they've experienced brighter skin. They've experienced better sleep, better dreaming. They were able to remember their dreams and in the most vivid state. People have experienced weight loss. People have experienced weight gain. And in another episode, we're going to go into how the liver is responsible for thyroid hormones. I bet you didn't know that, huh? So we're wrapping up episode 1. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for your time and your patience. I'm putting a lot into this project for you to understand the basics and foundation of what we call in society disease, and how the liver is the centre, the point, and the geometric essence of it all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our next liver flush as a group starts June 16th and ends on June 21st. Once you join my group Liver Flush, you will be entered into the WhatsApp private community, as well as receive my free Liver Flush Ultimate Liver Flush Workbook ebook. And you will also receive a week worth of recipes that you can create during the week of the liver flush. Thank you so much for making it this far. Also, before you go, if you are interested in booking an iridology appointment with the best naturopath and iridologist out there, book online at www.holisticalpalace.com. I have in-person consultations in Georgia, and I also have virtual consultations where you can have your consultation anywhere in the world. I have had clients from the UK to Trinidad to China to Kuwait. Baby, anywhere you are, I am there online and ready to serve you. Thank you so much again, and welcome to my new Liververse series. Next episode will be posted on Patreon. Peace and love.